What's up, guys? Here is the Victorinox Huntsman knife. I've had this for a very long time. I don't even remember how long, but this is my second Victorinox knife. The first one I had was the Climber, and that one, the Climber, is just a small knife, big knife, can opener, and flathead screwdriver. But this one has some extra features. It is 4 segments across compared to the Climber's 3. And this is the mid-sized, one of the mid-sized Victorinox knives, where it has the basic features plus some extra unique features. And Victorinox makes several pocket knives with the 4 segments here. There's one knife, it's called the Mountaineer, where instead of the saw, it has a file. There's also a knife called the Fieldmaster, where instead of the corkscrew, it has a Phillips screwdriver. So I actually regret not getting the Fieldmaster because I haven't used the corkscrew that much, but there have been plenty of times where I needed to unscrew or screw something on, and the Phillips screwdriver would have been very useful. Another popular 4-segment knife is the Tinkerer. Instead of a saw, it has pliers. At least for me, like when I do need to work with some pliers, either outside or doing some work around the house, I'll use some actual real pliers where I can put in a lot of force and squeeze them the right way. The pliers on these Victorinox knives, you can only really squeeze them with your thumb, so you're not going to be really using them to their maximum effectiveness anyways. So I wouldn't recommend to go for a knife with the pliers. Go for the stuff that actually you'll be using on a regular basis and that makes sense to have in a convenient form, like a pocket knife. So now I want to show you the tools that this one actually has. Starting off with the big knife, it's 2.5 inches. So it's smaller than what you might think it actually is. That's how it is versus my hand. And I use this for a lot of the big cutting tasks. So if I have to whittle wood or cut through some plastic, cut open a package, I'll use this one. Actually, when I have this just lying around my desk, I leave it with the knife already extended, so I can just pick it up. This is the most common way to use it, and then I cut whatever I need to cut. And you can see it has some residue on it, but that's just because I use it so much. But it's very durable. It's still reasonably sharp after so many years. I could definitely sharpen it up, but just haven't gotten around to it. Here is the small knife. I recommend to not really do a lot of cutting with the small blade because you want to have at least one blade that keeps its sharpness for a while. And this is a blade that's good for very fine cutting movements that you might need to do. Here is the saw. This is actually very effective saw on its own, not even as part of a pocket knife. This is good for going through tree branches. You can cut through a plank of wood with this. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but they're sort of arranged diagonally, the edges, and this makes it so much easier to cut through wood. And this cuts through wood better than a lot of regular saws that I have. Very effective at cutting wood. Here is the scissors. I'm not sure what it is with Victorinox scissors or if I just don't take care of them enough, but I had the same issue on my older knife. When I first got it, it was fine, but now it sort of gets stuck in this position. Maybe there's some too much gunk buildup inside. And that's not to say that the scissors themselves aren't good. They definitely cut very well. Here's the flathead screwdriver. I use this one a lot, and it's especially good for when you have a screw that's very tightly in place and it actually locks in this half position. You hear the click. And now we can put a lot more torque into unscrewing or screwing something in. And this might be better than a real screwdriver, real flathead screwdriver, just because you're able to put that much more torque into it. And here is the can opener. I've used this a couple times, just a standard can opener that they used back in the day. And there's a tiny flathead screwdriver up top. Now here's the back, here's the corkscrew. Again, I wish I had Phillips screwdriver in here instead of the corkscrew. Here is the hook. This is something that Victorinox put in here in their early knives because back in the day, people got their packages wrapped in twine. And when they would go get their packages, an easy way to carry them would be to hook the twine into this hook. But I actually did use this a couple times to get some wire loose. It made it a lot easier to grab the wire versus grabbing it with my hand alone. And this is the final tool. This is the reamer, it's called. And I've used this a few times to make a hole in belts. This one is actually pretty sharp. It has a sharp edge. And you can use this to go through a plank of wood if you ever need to make a hole in some wood for some reason. So in conclusion, the Huntsman is a great knife if you don't want to make the $100 investment in the Swiss Champ, which has every tool imaginable. And if you're trying to decide picking between a different 4-segment Swiss Army knives, I would say don't go for the Tinker, which has the pliers instead of the saw, because you're not going to end up using the pliers that much realistically. You should be using real handheld pliers to actually put in the force that you need to put in. And if you're not someone that pops open champagne bottles regularly, then I would suggest going for the Fieldmaster, which has the Phillips screwdriver instead of the corkscrew. Also, if you don't think you'd be using the saw that much to cut wood, I would definitely recommend the Mountaineer Swiss Army knife, which has a file instead. So yeah, that's it for the review of the Victorinox Huntsman. Please let me know if you found this helpful. And I've linked all the knives I mentioned in the description box below. Thank you guys. Peace.